Okay, so today I'm going to do Dianthus, and here is a classic Dianthus plant. It's Lady Granville, which is quite an unusual one. And generally, Dianthus are pretty easy to propagate, but under my systems, I always prefer the slightly older, slightly woodier shoots here, and I'll show you another method in a minute. So what we'll do is we'll take off these shoots like this. It'll leave a leggy mess in the middle, but I'm probably not going to sell it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Get that out of the way. So then we've got individual shoots here, and you can see there's a point at which it's sort of brown and slightly woody, which in my opinion is the best place to get the cuttings from. Dead leaves on it. There's another point there where you can just about see some new shoots coming, and then there's the young growing tip. So these are this season's growth, fairly strong, as strong as you can find them, young shoots, and they if they have flowered, they're really much more difficult to do. So we'll take all the lower leaves off like this, as we always do, to try and get the water balance right in the plant. So the plant's got enough leaf to live, but the stem that's left at the bottom can take in enough water to feed the leaves that are left. And you can see I trimmed all the leaves off like that. And then there we have the cutting. Now I'm just going to tidy the bottom up a little bit just to make it easier to stick in the frame. And then, as always, we'll give it some prophylactic rooting powder like that, and then that's done. So basically you can make as many as you like that. Now with the cutting like this, these Dianthus are very blue leaved, they're very glaucous leaved, and I find they don't do well in a closed frame. They're much better off if they're done in a plug tray. So a plug tray is where you have lots and lots of open cells, and you put the cuttings in the cells and then put it in a place which is not too much in direct sun. Okay, here is a plug tray, and when I first started, I managed to acquire a few by hook or by crook, and then I realised there was a company called PG Horticulture, which is near Daventry, which sells them, and I'm using one with 8 in a row, and I get 104 cuttings in each one. We'll just do one to show you what I mean. So we fill the plug with compost, we find the cutting that we made earlier, we stick it in there, so that the green parts, the leaves and the new shoots, are above the compost. I give it a little bit of a firm with a finger, and then I might chuck a little bit more compost in there just to level it up like that. And then we'll go on and we'll fill the whole tray exactly like that. And that gives you some idea a little bit closer to. Right, so the other principal method of doing Dianthus cuttings is from what are called pipings. And this is where we reject all these lower leaves, as always, because they're almost dead anyway. We get those off. We take a few more off where the young shoots are coming. So if you look carefully, you can see the young shoots are in a ring there. And then what we do is we get the main piece of the shoot like this, and we break it off there like that. So you're left with a perfectly good cutting. This is a perfectly good cutting, and this is the method that I prefer to use. Okay, so that's what I do. If you've got better facilities than I have, so there's your cutting, and we'll just take the leaves back a little. So there we are. So that's your cutting. If you've got better facilities than I have, you can do what are called pipings. And a piping is just this shoot that's been broken out of the middle. Now I'd do the same thing. I'd take a couple of leaves off, just to give me a little bit of a base to stick into the medium, and then I would just tidy up the top again, and you end up with something that looks like this. And if you've got mist or a closed frame, or very good propagation facilities, then you can do pipings like this, and it's obviously allowing you to get a second whole crop of cuttings. So you've got, instead of one cutting, you've actually got 2 cuttings from the same shoot. Now with me, under my system, this really, I can't get this to work. It's not suitable for sort of rough and ready treatment and the conditions I have. So although I've experimented with this method, for me it's not really ideal. But if you've got different conditions, then you can try making these pipings. And the pipings can be stuck in a plug tray or in a sand bed in exactly the same way as the cuttings were. But I say, for me, it doesn't work. I'd rather have a bigger bit with some woodiness at the base. Okay, once the plug has rooted, you'll end up with something that looks like this. It's hale and hearty and actually growing away quite nicely. And you can see it's actually in the cell in the plug tray. And then I have a specially designed tool here, which is just a stick. But the diameter of the stick is the perfect size to push the plug out of the tray. So we put the stick in the bottom of the hole in the bottom of the tray, and then we push the plug out like this. And then you'll find there's your lovely plug with lots of masses of root going on, a couple of shoots, and a really strong, healthy, vigorous looking plant. So if you need an impromptu tool, just make one.